Welcome everyone to this webinar about linking with CDI, the Central Discovery Index. My name is Christine Stohn and I'm responsible for CDI and some of the data projects and products that we have. So this is the agenda for the meeting today, or for the webinar today. So I'm going to first of all talk a little bit more about the linking with CDI in general, and about the strategic directions that we have. And then we selected a few topics which we hope are of interest to you, because we did receive a lot of feedback about them, a lot of questions about them, a lot of interest, and we hope that these are interesting to you. There are probably other things we could talk about. Linking, you know, is a very kind of extensive topic. So if there's anything missing here, or that other topics in linking that you would like to see covered in future webinars, please give us some feedback, and we're happy to schedule a follow-up webinar with other topics. So the topics for today is, first of all, my overview and strategic directions, and then David is going to talk about improving linking by using the hybrid linking method and by using provider IDs. And then Lieve is going to introduce a new topic, really because it's a new feature, and that is to add additional links to the full view of a record that's just newly released, and it's going to be released in Primo shortly. And then we have time for a Q&A at the end. Okay, so Lieve, can you please? Yeah. Okay, so first of all, this is probably very familiar to many of you, because linking is just not that simple. Different material types, different platforms, different collections require just different solutions. And let's not forget what we want to achieve here, and then go into the details of how to achieve it. We want to, of course, take the user to the best possible link, ideally directly into the full text they're entitled to. The best possible link is a bit up for interpretation, but generally speaking, it's the most reliable link, and maybe also depends on how the full text is presented on the platform of choice. As we know, a lot of the material is available from many different platforms. You may have articles or journals subscribed from in different packages, different platforms, and therefore there is a choice of links available to the users, and we want to, of course, choose the best one, the most reliable one. We also need to take institutional rights into account. Again, this is about where you subscribe to your journals, books, and other material, and how you want to set this up. Not everyone has access to every platform where an article, book, or other item might be available, and that's really about availability and rights management. So not one method fits all. Some items are available from many platforms. That's what we call the appropriate copy problem, or the appropriate copy in general, that needs to be calculated. What is the copy that the user actually has access to? Some items are unique to one platform. Only one appropriate copy is available. So for those items, we don't really need to calculate anything. Either they're available or they're not available, and we can directly link to this one platform. And usually we would probably use a direct link and not go via the link resolver. We have many items with and many without unique identifiers. And therefore, links can also be simple or complex to construct. Items without any unique identifiers are usually far harder to manage or to handle in terms of linking than those with identifiers. And some collections are managed on portfolio level and some on collection levels. So we have a lot of complexity here that we need to manage, also in our knowledge base and in our linking methods. Eva, can you go to the... There are a number of methods used in CDI, and you're probably familiar with them, but I like to summarize and point them out again. First of all, the traditional linking is really open URL linking, which is coming from the time when we had just the journals and journal articles. So this is generally used for items with portfolios and identifiers, a lot with journals that have ISSNs, but also, of course, with books with ISBNs, etc. Generally, this is a very good method if you have if you need to calculate an appropriate copy, and you need to calculate the link based on the platform you have access to, and there are identifiers. Then we have the link in record. Generally, this is used for items without unique identifiers, and often these also don't have any portfolios in the knowledge base and the community zone. Many of these records are unique, so there is only one platform offering them anyway. That applies, for example, to a lot of the video material. Material maybe also beyond the classic journal articles and books. Then we have quick links. Quick links is a feature to support direct links to PDF and HTML full text. We released this last year. A lot of you are already using it. I'm going to show a little bit more about it in a minute, but this is something that we really emphasize and we also promote a lot, and we are working a lot on getting more providers on board, because that's a linking method that is really favored by users. They want to have that one-click experience to the full text. And then we have a linking method that is not used by many collections. That's template-based links. I'm just mentioning it here because we do have a couple of collections where institution-specific tokens are required, and that requires a specific type of linking, which we call the template-based links. It's really only a few collections, so it's not that important here, but I just wanted to mention it because it's part of the methods that we are supporting. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the strategic directions for CDI. Again, quick links is very important for us because that's really the preferred method by users to go directly into the PDFs and directly into the HTML full text. I just put a little screenshot here just to show you what it looks like. You get the PDF link and the read online link on the result list, one click to the full text and directly into the PDF, or directly bringing the PDF up. We released this last December. The usage is really increasing quite steeply. As soon as an institution activates that, we can see the usage really go up. And that's very nice to see. So it's a feature that is really very well used. I put a URL here, and that is for the page where we list the quick links providers. We cannot offer quick links for everyone. It requires special configurations from our side. That means that we're working together with the providers, with the full text providers, to create those links. Those links are very reliable. We tested them thoroughly, and we also had a lot of positive feedback from customers about their reliability. And that's also fantastic to see. So if you haven't tried this out, please do, because this is available for all Primo and Primo VE customers. You can just switch it on, you can test it, and then you can also use it, of course, in your production environment. And again, there is a quick links provider list, which gives you an idea of which providers are supported as part of quick links. Liva, can you go to the next slide? The second one of the strategic directions is, of course, to calculate and provide the best link possible, taking institutional rights into account. And if the link in record method is used that I mentioned before, we currently show only one. There is an article on the Knowledge Center which tells you a little bit about the priority setting and why we set which priority. We calculate the most reliable link, and that is really going to be displayed. We had a lot of requests to add an option to show more links, to add all relevant links to the full view of a record instead of only showing the top one. And we're going to add this. And this is what Liva is going to talk about at the end of this session. So she's going to talk about this new feature, what it looks like, how it's being configured, etc. Liva, can you? Yeah, okay. And the third part is to provide libraries with tools to prioritize links to their preferred providers. Currently, this is available for link resolver links. If you go into the link resolver, regardless whether you're using Alma or SFX, you can set the order in which the links should appear on the link resolver. We currently do not have this on the link in records. And the reason is that this is on a different system. This is calculated on CDI, so we can't just use the settings that you have on your link resolver. It's technically not possible. But we are working on providing this later this year. It will look a little bit different to what you have on the link resolver, but it should be easy to use. That is really the condition here. So you're going to your Alma or your SFX settings, and you'll set the preference for your providers in case that there is more than one link, of course. I mean, often there is only one link, and then it doesn't really matter. But if you have more than one link, then you can set the preferences also for the link in record later this year. And again, we wanted to release this earlier, but it just takes a little bit longer because of the complexity of this development. But we're trying to make this as simple as possible for you. Okay, and that's all I have to say. I'm going to pass this on now to David to talk about the hybrid linking method and to using provider IDs.
Thank you, Christine. Hello, everybody. My name is David Anegbi. I'm a manager in the content operation teams, and my team is responsible for the content in a CDI. And in these few slides, I want to cover two tasks, two initiatives that we actually worked on in the past year. One is improving the linking method that we are using and introducing the new hybrid linking method, and the provider ID that is used within the link resolver. Okay, so let's ask Christine. Christine already reviewed and mentioned all the linking method that we have for Primo users. Okay, and we have the link resolver and the linking record, and it is configured on the collection level. My team, when we analyze and we release new content, new collection, we choose the best linking method to work with this collection. The preference is to use the link resolver. As Christine said, the link resolver is very reliable for content that has identifiers for classic academic content, and it has several advantages of using the link resolver enables the customer and the users actually to see all the possible links and all the possible platform to see the full text that actually available from their activation in the KB, and also allows the customers to actually, or I would say, the system can use the link resolver to make the connections between record from various providers to the full text on other providers, because the record and the link or the provider platform can talk with this metadata language that actually connects between them. And this way, we can actually, for example, take a POCUS record and offer a link to EBSCO. So this is a big advantage of the link resolver. But as we know, we have in CDI and not only academic journals and book chapters, but also much more content that we want to expose to our users, if it's videos, newspapers, article, archival material, and so on. And this is also what's available for us as libraries by the content providers. Okay, we have this really good content products with mixed content, with things that are really unique, and not only a journal article. And of course, we load them and ingest them to CDI for you, and we need to support the linking for them. And when it comes to this kind of content, we many times we need to choose the linking record, okay, to make sure that we have a really good and accurate link from the record to the provider platform. What we actually did in the past year, we improved the linking by configuring collection with the most suitable linking method. So we analyzed and reviewed many of the collections that are available now, and we checked that the linking method that is now used for them is really appropriate and is the best that we can use in. How we decide? So I just said that the link resolver, as I said, with the advantages that it has, it really matches. It works really well when we have the content with the good identifiers, when the content is not unique, and when there is a good reason to use it to show the content from several providers. And of course, in addition to what I said about EBSCO, it's mandatory when we want to link to providers that are not indexed in CDI. This is something that has to be done with link resolver. And for using the link resolver, we need a reliable title list. The link resolver is working with the KB title list, with the ALMA portfolios. And for creating the link accurately, we need the provider to support and to maintain the title list on the KB side. For example, every article that you will find in CDI side will have the matching portfolio for it in the KB side, so we can build the link. The linking record will be used, of course, in database types collection because we don't have portfolios to do the linking with. So of course, with all of the database collections that have full text, will use a link in record. But also collections with portfolios. Sometimes we will choose to use the link in record in case that the content has no identifiers. And when I say no identifiers, it's not only 100% missing identifiers, but also if this a mixed content that actually does not allow us to use link resolver safely. So in these cases, we will choose the link in record. And another another thing that we look on when we decide is the uniqueness of the content. And if the content is really unique and can be found and is offered only by this provider, it will be also a good a sign to use link in record, because then we have only one link that is reliable, is provided us by the provider, and we know it will work. So this is the link resolver, this is the link in record. The hybrid linking is another, this is the new method that we actually introduced. And we saw that we have collections with mixed content. And many times these are actually the big collections of the top providers. Just for example, to say if it's ProQuest, ProQuest Central or ABI Inform, and if it's some of the big Gale collections. And these collections, the providers actually sell, in these collections, they sell also the best of their academic content, the best of the journals, but also they add a lot of other content like newspapers, like videos, like archival content, and other content that is not easy to work with a link resolver. So till the hybrid linking, we had actually you can say two bad options, because the link resolver was really good, but only for part of the content, and the link in record was also really good, but also for other part of the content. So with the hybrid linking, we actually managed to use the best link in record per content. So in this case, the academic content with identifiers, and when it comes to ProQuest, also dissertations that are not covered in the portfolio list in ALMA, they use the I would say, I'm sorry, the identifiers content and not the dissertation. The identifiers content is working with link resolver because it has identifiers and it can work really well. And many times it's also available or maybe available in other provider platforms. And the non-identifiers content and the dissertation will be using the link in record. And the good thing is that we managed to do it by not changing anything on the collection or on the activation process. We did it behind the scenes, and customers actually started to see the link in record appear when they used to see a broken link or missing link. So this is a big improvement that we did. The hybrid ID is also used for mixed full text and ANI collections. We have some providers. I can mention Eric, for example. They're a really big ANI provider. Okay, they're really focused on bibliographic content and curating and publishing bibliographic records. But also they have on the website, on their platform, a big portion of the content also has a full text. Many times it will be the open access content. So in this case, also, we wanted to give the customers the best of both worlds, you can say, and make sure that if this is a bibliographic record without full text, they will see the link to another platform where they can see the full text. So for example, they will see a record from Eric, but the link will be to their full text on ProQuest or EBSCO or Gale. But when the Eric or other ANI provider does have the full text on the website, we will offer this link. So this is the hybrid linking. So as I said, we decide if we go with a link resolver, link in record, or hybrid linking when we analyze the content before we release. And also in the past year, we did a lot of changes that we can actually see in the next slide. I think it will be, yeah. So in the, what we actually did is we changed all of newspapers collections from ProQuest to be using link in record. We understood that the content is in very high percentages unique to ProQuest, and also in many cases, it's when it comes to historical newspapers, there are no identifiers or they're not reliable enough, and for this reason we changed them to link in record. In addition to this, other 50 collections from various providers, including Gale, Alexander Street Press, IEEE, OECD, and many others, also were changed to link in record based on our review and our decision. Hybrid linking, we already changed 105 ProQuest mixed content collections, changed to hybrid. And you can see link to the article below, actually lists all the collections. Of course, the hybrid, you can see also on the collection in Alma. When you search in Alma CZ, you will be see that the full text rights of this collection is hybrid. In this article, you can also read a more broad and detailed explanation about how hybrid linking is working. And we also changed two ANI collections to hybrid linking. I mentioned Eric, and there is another one. So these are the improvements that were done on on the past year. I would say here one thing for the slide before, but it's okay. You can leave it, Livia. Sorry. Many customers are asking about Gale, okay, and I mentioned it. I want to say that we know that Gale OneFile, Gale Academic OneFile are also big collections with very high usage, and they are also have this mixed content issue. We are working very hard with high priority on this problem. Gale has some unique aspects regarding linking that making it a little bit harder to solve, but this is something that we are working on, and I hope that in really near future, even if not on for all Gale collections, but for the top collections that have the most usage, we will come with a solution. So this is really on work and in high attention. So this was about the improvements about linking, and let's now talk about the provider ID. So the provider ID is actually something that belongs to the link resolver, the first linking method. And the link resolver now takes the open URL from the record to create the link to the provider's platform. Maybe you can now talk about, maybe we can scroll down to this. Okay, this is great, thank you. So this diagram will help us to understand how actually the link resolver work and what is the advantage of the provider ID. So the CDI record appears on the UI and has the PNX XML behind it. And it has all the metadata of the record. Okay, it has the author, the title, the journal title, the issue, the volume, the ISSN, and so on. The browser, you can say, or the on the UI side, it actually knows to generate the open URL. That is a format that is used to hold all the metadata, the imported metadata from the record. And this is, of course, something that belongs to everybody, okay? And we're actually using this format to generate the link to the link resolver. Now, the open URL has all the metadata from the record, and now with this open URL, we can generate the link to the full text on the provider website. Each provider builds their website on their own, and they can do whatever they want. But of course, if the provider wants to get links from various discovery systems, from Google Scholar, from all over, so they need to support linking syntax that actually also knows how to work with metadata with open URL. So our teams knows, and we talk with the providers, and then we build a parser or small code that actually takes the open URL from the record, and based on the instructions we get from the providers, create the link directly to the article. And the advantage here, as I said earlier, is that is actually that we can do a cross-linking. We can take the metadata from one provider record and create the link to another provider record. This is one of the big advantages of the open URL of the link resolver, and this is why it is so commonly used. Now, after we understand the open URL, we now understand that it's actually working mostly on metadata. Let's go up one slide. It's actually really using the metadata. And as we know, metadata is not 100% accurate. And many times we have metadata differences. And many times when we providers really need to work hard to maintain their metadata accurate. And when it comes to connecting between several providers metadata, it even comes harder. So here we actually introducing the provider ID. The provider ID is actually a specific document ID of the provider that we can use to link between the provider's record to the provider's platform. So let's say we have ProQuest, okay, and they send us the articles to CDI, and each article has its unique ID. Above, there is, in addition to all the metadata elements like the DOI and in the volume and the issue and everything, it has the ProQuest ID of this document. And they also guide us, or we know how to create the link with this document ID directly to the to read the full text. If we use this document ID, it's much more reliable than using the metadata, and it's safe and it's actually make sure that we have a good and reliable link. So you can say it's actually using the link resolver with all the advantages of the link resolver, but with the reliability and the accuracy of a link in record. Let's go down to slides. So as I said, just to understand how it works, the provider IDs are part of the CDI record. They are sent in the open URL from CDI, and then the program, the code, or we say the parser that actually creates the link is now adjusted to check also the this document ID, this provider ID. So just to say, this is, of course, the smart. It's a smart code. If it has the document ID, it will use it, like in the highest priority. If it doesn't have it, it will use other metadata elements also by priority of accuracy. So it will take first the DOI, which is really unique and really, really good identifier on the article, on the record level, on the article level, and then it will go down to use other metadata elements like the ISSN, the volume, the issue, the start page and end page, and so on. The provider ID is now supported for 21 providers, and the full list can be found here. Also here, this is seamless to you, okay? It's not something that you need to do something to activate. We are behind the scenes. Your link resolver is actually working better with more accurate metadata to use. So I think we have Liva. We have one more slide, or thank you. So just to summarize what we actually did, we worked to review the collections that we have in CDI and to make sure that we use the best linking method for them. We reduced the hybrid linking, and we actually have more than 100 ProQuest collection using this hybrid linking, solving a problem of this mixed content collections. And we also introduced and working to add more provider IDs to use in the link resolver linking method. So thank you, and I will pass it on to Liva.
Hi, this is Lieve Routers, and I'll be talking about the third part of this linking presentation, and this is about a new feature that we're introducing, which is about adding more links to the full view of records in your Primo interface when they're coming from CDI. So, as Christine and David mentioned before, we have two methods for linking to the full text for CDI records, and essentially also for records in Primo in general. We have the link resolver method and we have the linking records method. I'm not going to explain them again, but let's look at what they actually look like for an end user. So this is a first example, a little screenshot of records in CDI. I'm looking at the full display of the records. And this is a record that uses the link in record method for linking. And how do you see that? You right now you only see one link if it's a link in record, and it always starts with text like view item in. Of course, this is customizable, and then the provider name or the collection name. So this is what a link in record link looks like. You can also see it's a link in record if you move your mouse over. You hover over the link, you will see either the link to the provider directly, and this is the link that we got from the provider in the record itself that came as part of the load into CDI. So in some cases there is a proxy URL prepended that depends on your proxy configuration. But this is a typical example of a link in record. So only one link coming from the provider record. And then if we look at the a link or a record in CDI that uses the link resolver method, this is an example here. What you see in the view online or in the view it section of your full display is you will see one or more links that come from your link resolver. What happens behind the scenes, as David mentioned, is that the Primo interface will send an open URL with the metadata from this particular CDI record to either your ALMA link resolver or your SFX link resolver, and ALMA or SFX respond and by returning one or more services, full text services, depending on what you've activated, what collections you've activated in ALMA or what targets you've activated in SFX. For ALMA, you typically see one or more services directly. For SFX, depending on your configuration in Primo, you may also just see a link to the SFX menu. If you move your mouse over these services, you will not see a direct link. You'll see that ALMA or SFX is working here, and there's either an open URL behind the links or there's links from ALMA behind each of the full text links. So these are what the users will see when they see a link in records or an open URL type of link. So this is what's happening right now. What we've done as part of the Primo May release or the Primo V April release is we're introducing this new feature that will allow you to add more links, full text links, to the full display of records in Primo for CDI records. And so what you can do is you can enable this feature. And I'll talk about configuration later in this session. And what will happen when you enable the feature is that you see additional linking options for CDI records when the user looks at the full display, view it or view online section. And why would you want to turn this feature on? Because users can then select from a list of link options that are available for a particular record, and they can choose the provider that they may prefer. So if we look at what happens when this all links feature is turned on, is that initially the user will not see a difference when they look at the record. When they go to the full display though, and in case there are multiple links available for this particular record, there will be a new element in the UI which says show more. And if you click on this button or this link, then more links, additional links will be available for this particular record. Let me show that quickly in a live demo of the feature. So this is an example where I'm searching for something, I find a record, nothing looks out of the ordinary, but if I look and click on the to go to the full display, what you will see is in the view online section, you get link resolver services back as before. Sorry. But if you click, you see here this new feature, which is show more. So if you click on it, you will get additional links available to you. In this case, it's a link to SweepApp, it could be anything else. Now, what we did is we actually divided these links into different sections, and I'll come back to this later in the slide. This is an example where you initially had an open URL list of services from ALMA, and then you got an open access link that was not initially shown, but will show up when you click on the show more. Let's look at another example. So this is a record, and I'm already in the full display of the record. And this is an example where the link that is initially shown is actually a link in record link from JSTOR. You can see that because if you move your mouse over it, it actually shows you the direct link to JSTOR. So this is a link in record link. that I initially see, because I've enabled the feature, I get the show more option, and then I click it, I'm actually going to get link resolver links from the Alma link resolver. So this is an example where the first link is a linking record. The additional links that are shown are all OpenURL types of links. Okay, I'm going to go back to my slides. And these are just screenshots, I'm going to skip them. I want to talk about what type of additional links you may expect to see in your View Online section if you've enabled this feature. So each of the types of links that are available for a specific record, depending on your activations and on the record that you're looking at in Primo, we will show 3 different types of links, and they're ordered in the following way as they are listed here. First of all, we'll be showing link in record links for subscribed content, so non-open access links. One example that I showed earlier was the link in record to JSTOR for subscribed content. The second type of links that we're offering are OpenURL links, links from Alma or links from SFX, all links from the link resolver. And the third type of link is, again, a link in record links, but in this case, open access. And the sweep up example that I initially showed was such an example. So this priority order is fixed. It's also the priority that we currently use to determine what link to show if you don't turn on the feature of the additional links. We use, in case of merged records, this is the same priority that we're using. We're also slightly differentiating the different types. We'll only show, of course, one type initially, but if you click on the show more, then you can see up to 3 sections, each of them showing separate links. So this is what I showed, is how you actually see the feature in default when you turn it on. We do have some customization options, and these are listed here in the slide. So first of all, the sections, the different types of links, OpenURL versus open access versus subscribed content, do not come with a header. But you can, if you want, to add a header to each of the sections by using by adding labels in your back office. And of course, the labels like the show more, show less, those labels, of course, can also be customized and can be changed. So these are the customization options. What I also need to talk about is, when do additional links actually appear as part of a search result? First, there's 2 important conditions here. First of all, the first thing, and that's very important, is that additional links will, of course, only appear if you subscribe to this particular article or book or other material from multiple providers. So if you if for example you're looking at let's say an Alexander Street Press or an Access record that is linking records, but is not available from other providers, or you don't subscribe to it from other providers, then you will not see an additional link. Also, something to keep in mind is that if you, for linking record links, have the subscription to multiple packages of the same provider, then we will only show one link. So we do deduplication per provider, because what we found during testing is that otherwise you'll get a lot of links to the same provider. You'll see 3 or 3 links to Gale or 5 links to ProQuest, and that's not so nice in the interface. So this is something to keep in mind. What we do not do is deduplication between link in record and OpenURL. So the same provider may still appear in, let's say, 1 link in record section, or 2, one in the open access and one in the non-open access, although that's rare, plus in the OpenURL section. And the screenshot that I have here of JSTOR is an example of this. So JSTOR initially is shown in a link in record link, but it's also active in your Alma link resolver, so it will also show in the section of the OpenURL. So this is a case where we don't do deduplication, because that's much trickier to do. So this is the first condition. You have to have you have to be able to offer you multiple links. You have to subscribe to multiple providers in order for us to show additional links. A second important condition is that we have defined some quality criteria for links, especially for linking record links. So if and these are determined by the Ex Libris content team. So if the quality criteria are not met, then you will not see the additional linking record. They have to be good quality links, otherwise we will not offer them in the show more section. Okay, as a last step, I want to talk a little bit about the configuration. So how do you turn on this new feature in Primo and in Primo V? First of all, in Primo, it's available from May, so you need to wait a little bit longer. But in the May release, what you can do is you can add a new parameter to the views property mapping table. This is a mapping table that is used for view configuration. You need to add a new row, and the parameter name is display all links, as you see it here, and the value has to be true. And you need to set that for the view where you want to turn on this feature. And then you save and you deploy, and then you will see the additional links appearing in Primo. In Primo V, the configuration is a little bit different. There, what you need to do is you need to go to the discovery section of Alma, and then you go to view configuration. And then in the view configuration, in the general tab, there is a new option in the general attributes section that says display all links in the view online section. If you check that and save, you will start seeing the additional links. So this concludes my information about the all links development. I just want to finalize the session here by giving a short summary of what we talked about in the session. First of all, Christine talked about the complexity of linking and our approach of having not one method that fits all, but really looking at the different types of providers and the different types of data that we have to see what linking fits best for which collection. We talked about the different linking methods that we have. We talked about link resolver linking, linking record linking, the hybrid options, quick links, and also the solutions for hybrid linking and provider ID linking. We also talked briefly about the option to about future plans, and also I went into the details of how this new option of adding additional links will work for Primo and for Primo V. And I also briefly wanted to mention what lies ahead. So during the course of this year, we'll be introducing provider preference settings for linking record types of collections. Okay, I think we want to thank everyone for attending the linking session. As Christine mentioned earlier, if you have any other ideas about topics for presentations in the future where we can help clarify things or explain things better, then that's definitely welcome. Thank you for attending, and we hope you found this very interesting, and we wish you a nice continuation of your day.
And David, do you have anything to say?
I just thank you, and again, thank you, and have a great day.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.